Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And if you're watching my channel for the first time, World Illuminator 11, then a warm welcome to you. I hope you're having a lovely Monday and a great start to the new week. Today, I wanted to come on after having had a couple of days off where I was sort of focusing on myself, and I'll talk about that on a video later in the week. But I just wanted to come on today to talk about my personal understanding of the basis of the twin flame journey. And I'm going to do this by sort of drawing a diagram as I speak to try and explain this. And but then, this is my own personal understanding. I started my spiritual journey at the beginning of this year, and I've been learning quite a lot. And from this, I've been learning about the twin flame journey, and I just want to be able to express, to share what I've learned on my spiritual journey about the twin flame journey. And in case there's somebody out there who's wondering what it is about, who wants to learn a bit more about the basis of the whole journey, and just to explain how I understand it, because I would love to just share the knowledge that I am gaining as well on my journey. And so this is what this is about. And if you have anything to add, your own understanding, then please do comment below and tell me what you think and how you understand it. And that's what this channel is about. It's about just sharing information and learning from each other. So, I am going to start off by calling on Archangel Gabriel, and thank you, Archangel Gabriel, for helping me to explain my understanding of the journey of the twin flame journey in a clear way, basically. So, thank you, Archangel Gabriel, and what my understanding of the journey of the twin flame journey is that it is based on the sacred. It's a sacred journey. It's a sacred relationship, and anything sacred comes from our creator, from God, from the universe, the divine, whichever term you prefer to use. But for the sake of my illustration here, I am going to put on here the word creator, who is like our prime creator, and that's the term that I'm going to be using. And with our creator, there is what this is where oneness occurs, where wholeness occurs, and where love dwells. So it is all about love. And from this, I am going to draw a triangle, right, coming from our creator. So it is coming from the creator, so he's a creator. And on here I'll put the divine feminine. He's the creator of the divine feminine and the creator of the divine masculine, the same way as the creator of the whole, our entire universe. And so basically the divine feminine, on when it comes to twin flames, the divine feminine and the divine masculine come from one soul, and this soul is split in half to then give the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And what this soul was as one only knew love, wholeness, and oneness. And then it splits into two to make the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And in there is the yin and the yang. And with the yin and yang, I'm referring to the energies. So the masculine energy, the feminine energy, and the masculine energy within the divine feminine. And then there is the feminine energy and the masculine energy within the divine masculine. So after the soul is split, there is actually, when that soul becomes just the divine feminine, it is still a soul, a whole soul in itself, even though there is the other part that has gone on to be the divine masculine. So there's divine feminine is a soul in itself, and it's got a masculine and a feminine energy within it, that from the point of creation. And then the divine masculine is a soul in itself, even though it's half of the its other half is the feminine, the divine feminine, but then it's a soul in itself, and it's got the masculine and the feminine energy within it. And so when it comes to the soul, these souls, whether separate or when it was the one soul from the creator, all there is love. And that's what this triangle represents. It represents love and oneness and wholeness and togetherness, basically. So after this, what I'm going to So what tends to happen is the creator is obviously the creator of the whole entire universe, and I'm going to put a circle in there, and I will call this circle planet Earth. So this is planet Earth, right? And within this planet Earth, there is the 3D world, which is the worlds that we live in, you know, the world stage that we live in. I call that the 3D. And the triangle on the outside, this is the 5D, which is, I mean, there are other dimensions, but for the sake of this, illustration, I'm just going to refer to the 3D and the 5D. The 3D is the world that we currently live in, which is on planet Earth, and the 5D is sort of the spiritual realm that we tend not to see, and we just know when we are on our spiritual journey that this is there. But so I'll get to that in a minute. So what and so on this 3D, what then tends to happen is when the soul, so the divine masculine and the divine feminine that is now split in half, when they decide, when these two souls decide that they they want to incarnate on on planet Earth, the reason why they tend to do this is to learn life lessons. So they come onto earth to learn life lessons because that's what souls do. That's what souls want to do, so that they can grow, for soul growth and for the soul to evolve. So they come onto earth to do that. And to show this, so I'm going to put these lines coming from the love, sort of the 5D, the creator, sort of from the, and to create, to so that there's a divine feminine and the divine masculine on the 3D realm. So this is when they're born into different bodies, in different, possibly different parts of the world, wherever there will be. So they're born and they're now living on this world, and they start off as babies, and as babies they go through socialization, which is learning from the parents, learning from society, the teachers, the world, you know, the worlds that they live in, about the things that they should do and the things that they shouldn't do. And then there is also conditioning, which also comes with the territory of the 3D world. You know, you become conditioned into, basically, into the ego. And the ego is all about things like fear. This is where you learn things like fear, where you learn things like, you know, it's important to make money, to it's important, and then things like frustration come in, anger, you know, as one grows. But then also before that, within the childhood, you know, as one is growing, you know, there can be certain things that happen, and this is part of the whole incarnation onto the 3D world, to learn these lessons. And you actually, the divine feminine and divine masculine actually choose, with the help of the spirit guides and the angels, or before, you know, whilst they're still on the 5D realm, before they come into the 3D world, they actually decide on what lessons they want to learn. And with this, they might come into certain families where there are certain particular lessons that they learn, and these lessons will actually result in certain childhood wounds, or certain traumas. And so it's all about, at the end of the day, it is all about learning to grow as a soul. However, so many things that are related to the ego tend to come in here. I talked about, you know, as one grows, there could be, like, even as a child, one could be told, you're not allowed to do this, you can only do this, and then they start to feel guilty that they went on and they did something. So there's all these things, and there's all the negative emotions, and there is the sort of, you know, holding in emotions, negative emotions. There's all sorts of things that tend to happen, that and that grow from this, and they grow. I think I've mentioned anger already, and then there's stuff to do with codependency and to do with abandonment, you know, depending on how they grew up with their family, with their parents, as like fears of abandonment. And there is all sorts of different things. But in addition to this, when the souls do come into this 3D world, there's also other things that are of influence, things such as karma, and this could be to do with DNA, karma, ancestral karma, and a lot of things that tend to come into play on this 3D world. And there is the learning that everyone is separate. There is separation. It's this one person for themselves, and there is no togetherness, which is what is on the on the triangle, the 5D. So there's all these things, and they all lead, sort of judgment, being judgmental, and negative self-talk, sort of, just a lot of separation and fear and frustration and all these things that tend to happen, and the focus on money and greed and power and control. So all the things that we grow to know to happen on the 3D level. So then what tends to happen is, so these two, the divine masculine and divine feminine, have grown on into becoming adults in their own life, and there's also actually another important one. So relationships, they go into relationships with with different people throughout their life, and then at some point they meet their divine masculine, and their divine masculine or their divine feminine, and this tends to happen because it is part of the life path, that you learn all these lessons on the 3D plane, and then and because of the ego and the fear and everything that happens, you sort of forget, because you start growing as a child with all this socialization, you forget about the outer worlds, the triangle, and that connection to the creator. So what then happens is, as part of this life path, they tend to meet. This is why I'm putting this heart here. On the 3D level, they meet, the divine masculine and divine feminine fall in love, they meet, and it's part of their plan, and they fall in love. It's the most amazing relationship. It's like, wow, where was this person all my life? It's nothing like they've ever experienced before. But because of all these things that they've been learned, the sort of traumas and wounds that one has grown up with, both the divine masculine and the divine feminine, even though the relationship can start off amazingly great, the triggers start to happen. So these triggers start to happen around the whole relationship on the 3D level. So triggers happening everywhere, and triggers happening everywhere. And as these triggers happen, they cause a rift, and separation occurs. The divine masculine goes their way, the divine feminine goes their way, but this causes a lot of pain. So this is all only happening on the 3D level, a 3D level whereby there is this whole knowledge of separation and ego, and basically there is this illusion. The 3D level is an illusion, and there is this illusion that people are separated, and that's what has always been taught, and people have been socialized to actually know and to think of life, what this life is about. And so the divine feminine and divine masculine have created this person who basically just knows all these things that happen to them on their 3D level. And this person has sort of worn a certain, like a mask, and all these things that have happened have made them to become a certain person. But this person is not really the person that, because who you are as an individual is what comes from your soul, and from, your spirit and your soul. And as you go into that body. So they have forgotten that the person that they came in with, their individuality, sort of their authentic self that was on the outside of the triangle, and now they've created this person on the inside who's now gone into separation, and the separation is painful. It is really tough and really hard, because they had found this person who's literally like the most amazing person, and this is sort of the relationship that they've been waiting for and hoping for all their life. And then the separation happens, and there is pain, and confusion. What does it mean? How does all this happen? What is the meaning of it all? And what tends to happen is, and it's usually the divine feminine, who tends to then go back to start questioning things and start awakening. It's like all these triggers and everything that happens within, and the pain that is caused by the separation results in an awakening and a consciousness and an awakening of asking, what is this life all about? How can somebody who was sort of like, who seemed like the right person, the person I've been looking for all my life, how can they come into my life and then just leave and go just like that? And that asking questions then leads to an awakening. And with this awakening comes the going back by the divine feminine, because at this point, when they've gone through all these things within the 3D, the divine feminine and the divine masculine, they are not balanced within their energies. Sort of the divine feminine energy and the divine masculine energy within themselves are not balanced anymore. They are sort of all over the place. And so they start going back to this awakening, and they start strengthening their relationship, their connection to the creator, because as they awaken and become more conscious, they realize that there is more to life than this 3D world, this illusion of the 3D worlds that they've known, or their life practically on earth. And so they start learning a bit more about, the 5D realm, everything else that happens on the spiritual side of things, something that they had not really got into or learned all their life, or they had forgotten when they moved on to the 3D realm. And by doing this, the divine feminine, instead of sort of going towards the 3D, they start putting their focus back onto the 5D. And so by doing this, they start awakening, their third eye starts opening, their intuition starts, they start listening to their intuition, they start asking more questions, learning more things, and strengthening their relationship to the divine, to the creator. And by doing this, because the divine masculine and the divine feminine, this is why the triggers occur in the first place. It is part of their whole learning process and the evolving, the soul evolving. They are mirrors of each other, because as I said right at the beginning, they are part of the same soul. So they are mirrors of each other. So whatever the divine feminine is starting to do, even though it happens in a completely different way and at a different rate, the divine feminine, or whoever is on the divine feminine, in more of the divine feminine energy, it doesn't necessarily have to be female, but I'm sure you understand what I mean. But that the one who awakens first, I'll just call them the divine feminine, as they awaken and start, because there is that mirror, their divine masculine starts to awaken as well. It might not be seen on the 3D level, because it's all starts happening on the 5D level. It might not be seen, they're still in separation, they don't even know what's going on between the two of them. And but the divine masculine at their own pace start to awaken as well. And as this happens, the divine feminine starts to learn that, the whole thing, the 3D was an illusion, and this whole thing of separation that they were taught is actually not true. What is actually true is the fact that there is interconnection between all people, all human, all spiritual beings. They are all living on this earth, having a human experience. There is this interconnection, and there was never a separation between them and their divine masculine anyway. So this love, so that's the heart that covers both the 3D and the 5D, but more on the 5D level. This love was never broken. It was never separated. There was never any separation. This love has always been there. It's always been there on the 5D. So the divine feminine starts to learn about the 5D and realize that they can actually, and this is where signs and synchronicities start to come in, or on the 3D level, and they start to question, is this my twin flame, is this my divine counterpart? And So the signs start to come in, and synchronicities, and the more that they focus, and so they also learn from this awakening that what they were taught on in this illusion of the 3D world is not true. That, the focus should be on things like material things or money, and those sort of things. But it should actually, and that love comes from having material things, or having love from another person, which is what causes all the pain when the rift happens, when the separation happens. They realize that actually, no, on we are, the love actually comes from within. So the divine feminine starts to focus on themselves, and they start to put all that love onto themselves, and give themselves self-love, and not and they realize, they learn that they need to take the focus off their divine masculine and put all that focus on themselves, to help themselves grow, to focus on themselves, because by putting all that love onto oneself, then their love, their sort of love starts, their cup of love, they realize that they have this cup of love within themselves. They need to get into union within themselves, and by doing that, by giving all the love and focus on themselves and on their career, and doing things that are, that leaving behind the things that no longer serve them, like the ego, and working on healing their life, doing the shadow work, healing their life, all the things that they've brought into this lifetime from past lives, healing the ego, healing the traumas, childhood wounds, connecting to their inner child. Then they start focusing, their cup of love start overflowing within themselves. And as they do this, their divine masculine as well, because it's the mirror, starts doing the same thing. At a different rate and different way, but they start doing the same thing. They start to realize that they need to focus on themselves as well. And as they do, they start to put all that love into themselves and strengthen, and start to awaken, and also strengthen their connection to the creator. So the connection on the triangle, on the 5D level, is getting stronger for both the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and they're connecting with each other as well strongly on the 5D level, even if they might not be in communication or in contact on the 3D level. But on the 5D level, there is that connection, there is that union, and there was never separation anyway. On the 5D level. And as they both continue to work on each other, on themselves, sorry, as they continue to work on themselves, separately, their union, on the 5D, on the spiritual level, their union gets stronger on the spiritual level. And the more they continue to do that, the more they continue to work on their union on the 5D level, and on that union within themselves, getting into union within oneself, then they also come into union. They will also come into union on the 3D level, as well. And when this happens, however, one point that I should make here is that it is all in divine timing. When this happens, it is all in divine timing. And the reason why it's in divine timing is because, it is about us, the divine feminines and divine masculines, realizing that, there is a bigger power, there is a bigger picture to this, a bigger power and a bigger picture to this whole life or here on earth. And it's about realizing, and this bigger power and bigger picture has to do with love. And by them focusing on themselves, putting their love into themselves, they're spilling that love from, not only from their cups, but also onto the rest of the world, both on the 5D level and also on the 3D. That love is spreading more and more, and they can then go into union together. They start working, like, by awakening, they would have started working on things like forgiveness, compassion, kindness, getting inner peace, and understanding of what this relationship is truly about, and understanding and being empathic, understanding where, and patience, things like those kind of lessons, the lessons that are all based around the idea of love and equality and understanding. And so by doing this, they're spreading love, and they start focusing on, the togetherness of the togetherness that actually exists, the love and togetherness that exists in the world, equality, and rather than the separation that they've been taught that the 3D world is all about. So by focusing on these things, and when they come together in the 3D world, they then can, they bring out their union into the 3D world and help to show the rest of humanity about, to teach the rest of humanity about love, because this is leaving the ego behind and stepping more into love, and showing the world that there is more in about there is more to the world than, to our planet and to the world, than just the 3D and the egos that we have learned all our lives. And but also the other thing to point out, that the last thing that I would like to point out, is the fact that, they're still connected to the 3D world. So there is still that, all these things are a part of them. They don't just leave just because they're now, they're now sort of connected to the creator. There is that sort of side to them, so there is that polarity, and it's about balancing the light. So there's the light which relates to all the love, and then there is sort of like the dark that relates to the 3D world, and the fear, that the sort of, so there's the light and the dark, and it's about polarity and balancing that polarity as well, where within the 3D world, and it's also about balancing the sort of the inner masculine and feminine energy within them as individuals, but then also balancing that masculine and feminine energy between them as a couple in the 3D world. And by doing so, they help to spread love. They show the rest of humanity that this whole the reason why we are here is because we are beings of love, and we're being created by our creator to live a life of peace, happiness, a joy of peace, joy, and love. And we can do this by letting go of the ego and focusing on love. And by this, as they work together on the world stage, on the 3D world, but also on the 5D, they help to bring in service, and they can be providing service, like to the rest of humanity or to the world, focusing on things such as, for example, their life purpose, which they can work on together to help humanity realize the importance of love, and to help humanity remember the interconnection between all beings on earth, and also that we belong, we are connected to our creator, and we are beings of love. And I feel that this is my understanding of what the twin flame journey is about, and why it is so important for both the divine masculine and the divine feminine to work on themselves, to heal their lives, to heal all these things, the traumas, all the things that have happened in their lives, the past lives, and the karma, and the ego, to release the ego, to let go of the ego, and to focus more on love, because that's what is needed on our planet, and that's what will help our planet ascend and go, and help humanity, and help all living beings on this planet. So I believe that I understand, this is my understanding of what the twin flame journey is about. It is about the bigger picture. It is about learning to love yourself and then pouring out that love onto the person, that your counterpart, your divine counterpart, and then pouring out that love onto the rest of humanity and to and onto our planet. And I just really wanted to share this because I think it's absolutely beautiful, and I know it's a tough journey. However, when it comes to the bigger picture, it is all about love. And the twin flame journey is about getting to that point within yourself, with your counterpart, and with the rest of humanity. I hope that really helps. Do comment below and let me know what your thoughts are as well on this. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video. I hope you enjoyed my diagram. And yeah, have a great evening, guys, a great day. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Love, peace, positivity, and light.